Awesome. How's it going, Judy? Thank you for joining MovieJunk today. How are you?
Thank you so much. Well, thank you for having me on. I'm super excited, and the kid hasn't bothered me yet, so far so good. Hey, okay.
Awesome, awesome. We're super excited to have you on, Judy. So for the folks that aren't familiar with your work, we have Judy Jean Kwon, who's been an actress, or actually been in the business now for close to 25 years. But you're also an actress, a writer, director, producer. I mean, you've done everything, pretty much.
Yeah, they call it a hyphen. I call it a hyphen because you kind of have to pick all this other stuff up. I mean, all these other stuff up to do, especially when you're an independent filmmaker. You just have to juggle a lot. So.
And you've been on shows, like Bosch, with starring Titus Welliver, and you created a short that was called It's called MILFriend, and then now it's actually a TV show now as well too. So that you actually directed and wrote and starred in as well too. So I'm excited to hear about that as well. But before we kind of get into that, and I'm definitely curious to see kind of like what got you started in the business. I mean, you've been in, like we mentioned, close to 25 years. Have you always had a passion for getting in Hollywood? Did you study theater at all?
You're you're definitely aging me there. People are gonna start calculating now. Well, I mean, I was born and raised in LA. I grew up in Hollywood, so naturally it was just a natural transition for me. I was actually wanting to be a musician, and I played the cello for the LA Junior Philharmonic of California, and I actually aspired to be some kind of a rock star, but it just kind of went into the whole acting field. It did a whole side thing, and because I loved musicals, believe it or not, I was into musical theater, and then so I just kind of gravitated towards the film industry because I'm in LA. That's like the biggest industry there.
Yeah. And you're currently residing in Hawaii right now, right?
I'm splitting between Hawaii and California, but yeah, right now I'm in Kauai. It's awesome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Yeah, I've
Yeah, we're
actually
doing
never.
so. Oh, sorry to interrupt, but yeah, we're
Oh,
doing a project out here. So that's part of the reason why we're here too.
oh, cool, cool. No, I was just saying I've actually never, been to the islands, and I keep getting not peer pressured, but just definitely, get more motivations to go. So I've always wanted to see Hawaii. So yeah, definitely, once it's a little bit safer to start traveling, I'd love to come and see. Have you always kind of balanced homes between Hawaii and LA, or because you mentioned you're from LA, have you always traveled to Hawaii a lot, or?
Oh no, I mean I just generally love to travel, but I was brought here by my husband, who's actually white, and he's also was produced part of MILFriend, and he's directed and also did the cinematography on there. We're kind of like a team, and he was brought. My husband brought me here, and but people here think that I'm the original because if you're white, you're called a haole. Like
Yeah,
you're called like not a native, but if you're
yeah.
Asian, for some reason, you kind of blend in, which is awesome because um, I experienced what he experienced on the mainland. Now I'm the dominant here, so it's kind
Mhm.
of
Yeah, awesome.
cool.
And you mentioned you were, just feeding, your kids before you joined on. How many kids do you have?
No, I just have the one kid. That's enough. That's a lot of work. Yeah. Yeah, the one kid is already, yeah, it's a lot.
That's good.
Especially now with the whole online, they're not even at school, they're at home online. So you can't get away from them anymore. Yeah.
Yeah, I
So
know.
it's that is
I've been doing interviews and also watching interviews of like writers and producers, and obviously being in quarantine, or not quarantine, but kind of like working from home. Basically, like a lot of these writers and producers have these like soundproof rooms, or try to keep it soundproof where they can just kind of focus and kind of get to work. um, I'm also excited because because there hasn't been as much filming, kind of in Hollywood. It's starting to kind of pick up now. When you get all these creators in isolation, I'm just wondering content we're going to see in the next few years because they've had all this time to kind of think.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
have you thought of anything new? This time kind of, taking a break. Have you written anything or anything else that you're working on besides MILFriend?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always working on stuff, but I'm so backlogged with all my old ideas that I'm still writing those. Probably
Yeah.
this isn't gonna catch up until I finish all those other stuff. But I'm just imagining like the things that will come out now is a lot of isolation and stuff, which is you by yourself in front of a monitor, right? I mean, like, what kind of stories are you gonna tell? I mean, there's a lot of stuff I'm sure out there, but pretty much isolationist kind of stories I think will be coming out from this era right now,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and you also mentioned, I mean, you kind of grew up in, you did grow up in LA, and obviously there was a lot of inspirations, I'm sure, growing up. Were there any movies or actors or actresses or directors that kind of gave you any early inspiration?
Oh, well, I grew up in a video store. So my dad owned a Korean American video store that had all these Korean dramas and Korean movies, and also we had all the Hollywood blockbuster B movies, everything. So it was like a mom and pop video store before Blockbuster became a thing. And so I was influenced a lot watching basically a whole array of films. Um, but I guess there and as far as you're saying LA, there's not a lot of movies that is based in LA. If you've noticed, there's handful, but for some reason, I think because a lot of people that come into the industry and make stories are mostly from the East Coast and not really from LA.
Yeah.
That I find a lot of stories don't start in LA as far as the film, other than what is that Michelle Pfeiffer film where
Oh,
it's in
yeah,
a show.
96. Yeah, with Kevin
Yeah,
Spacey and
right? Yeah, but it's very rare to find actually movies or shows based out of LA, I find.
yeah, I know most recently we got Quentin Tarantino's movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and yeah, that's
Hmm.
kind of an example. I think Quentin's from the East Coast original, or no, he's from LA actually, or he moved to LA at a young age. At a young age, he moved, and yeah, that was probably the most recent movie that I've seen. It's kind of like a love letter to Hollywood. Um,
Oh.
but yeah, were there any? What were some of your favorite movies growing up?
Oh my God. I mean, who doesn't, okay, now I'm giving away my age again, and I'm gonna do it obviously again now. But like when I was growing up, the big deal was Spielberg, everything he did was like gold, E.T., um, even the stuff that I think, I'm not sure if he directed it, but I don't know if he produced it, but remember The Goonies and
Oh yeah,
all of those big Hollywood films like Romancing the Stones. I don't know if he was involved in that, but that whole genre, like I just love all that action adventure. It's so fun, you know, out of Hollywood. But then the Korean stuff that I will watch, it's mostly talking heads. The production value isn't as high, but it's more focused on story driven,
hmm
and that's where binge watching started before Netflix was a thing. I mean, when I was a kid and there was, Korean drama, you just basically give a person just the first episode of VHS, if you remember what those were, like this box VHS that you put in a
I still
machine.
have a
And
VCR.
you still have one?
I got
Oh
so
my
many
goodness.
so many VHS tapes that I just didn't want to convert, and we got them. So
Yeah, but those tapes, they go bad, right? Are they still good? Have you checked it? They don't
yeah, I mean,
last
I
very.
haven't I haven't plugged them in a while. The last one that I plugged in played for a few minutes, and it kind of started skipping. So it's almost time to
Yeah.
let them go.
Part that sucks about it. Then remember those betas, right? When they were competing, VHS and the betas.
Mm.
Betas were the smaller version, but it
Oh
was
yeah, yeah.
better quality, but it just beat out beta.
Oh yeah. Yeah, no, I
Yeah,
remember those.
yeah, right? Right? It's like you're talking about the 8 track. Like from, now it's all digital. Um, but I forget. So what was I saying? So
Oh
I'm
yeah.
talking about
Yeah.
the Korean dramas, right? So that their Korean dramas are very binge watching because they never leave you with an ending. It always has a cliffhanger. So literally, I would just watch all these Korean dramas for like at least a week where you're just watching all day and sleeping 2 hours, because once they get you addicted, it's so hard to not turn that off. Yeah, so I was raised by both Korean and American big Hollywood films, but then also I went into watch all the art films too, the French films, the Japanese films, the Kurosawas, and all that stuff. I mean, I love movies, movie making, and it's just so fun.
Yeah, if I'm not mistaken, I think Parasite was a Korean-based movie, correct?
It is a Korean film. That's a Korean film. Korean film shot in Korea and produced in Korea. I think it was in conjunction with, was it with Amazon, or was it? No. Yeah, I think it was somehow connected with an American production though, right? The money came partially from America, because that's the same director that did the other film,
Yeah,
with the pig.
yeah, I think so. I mean, I was just so amazed. I mean, Parasite cleaned house during the Academy Award. I mean, they won so many, not best director, I think best writing. I'm not sure, but I mean, they got like close to 6 to 7 nominations and took in most of the awards. And yeah, I mean, that was just a huge success. I think it's the first time that a Korean movie had been nominated for that many awards and won that many awards. So yeah, definitely. I think for last year's Academy, I mean, Parasite and there was a lot of competition too. I mean, you had the movie The Irishman, which was a Netflix movie. You had Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I mean, there were just a lot of movies that were in competition then, and Parasite was just cleaning house, which was a Korean-based movie.
Yeah, it was a great film, and it was very well deserved. I felt like maybe part of it was because of this whole diversity movement that's going on. So maybe they were trying to make a point of giving it to a diverse film. But then at the same time, I almost felt like they won all these awards, but they didn't really get to revel in it and enjoy it, because if you remember, I don't even think it was even a week before the whole COVID thing happened, or is it about a week, or how long was it? And I feel like just the breath was taken out of it, where there should have been like this celebratory thing happening, and none of that happened. It just went straight to, oh, COVID.
Yeah, no, definitely. I mean, I do remember that because I remember Tom Hanks. I mean, he got sick like a week. Him and his wife got sick like a week after the awards, and they were worried that maybe additional members that attended were sick. But yeah, I remember the director arrived, and there was like a big, flight of fans that were awaiting him. But he was wearing a mask, and he just gave a very short speech, and then had to leave. So I'm sure, definitely early on, maybe there was some internal celebrating, and you don't forget, those victories. But yeah, definitely there could have been a lot more celebrations, and the fact that they won so many awards, I mean, that's going to stick, and I can't wait to see some of the upcoming work that we get out of Korean filmmakers, international movies.
Yeah, there was internal celebrating going on, because I ran into them partying on Hollywood Boulevard right before the awards. So yeah, they were celebrating. I was like, what is this Korean posse doing here? I don't normally see a bunch of Koreans that are Hollywood, So I'm like, what is up? But yeah. I mean, I'm really happy for them. I just wish they had more time to revel in it and make some kind of headway as far as the whole diversity movement and getting more projects greenlit. But I just feel like it went, like they got the award and then it just stopped, like the train stopped. I mean, that's how it felt for me. So.
Yeah, I remember the director kept going up and getting an award, and he kept thinking that it was the last one. And I remember the second to last one, he had said, "Okay, now I'm ready for a drink," because he thought it was over. And then the very next award, he ended up taking it again. So, that was definitely exciting, and we'll see what happens this year. I don't know. I think the Academy is going to be delayed or something, but we'll see.
Yeah, that would be interesting. What month is it? Is the awards? Because I mean, are they all gonna be wearing masks?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I wonder if they do something where it's virtual, where because again, a lot of movies that were supposed to come out this year got delayed to 2021.
Yeah, but not
So,
even delayed. I mean, some of them just didn't even make it to the theater. I mean,
mhm,
they didn't even taste it. They're like, it's not even worth it, right?
yeah.
So.
Yeah,
which kind of sucks because I mean Mulan was a very expensive film, and that went straight to I want to say Apple
Disney.
TV, was it?
Yeah,
The
Disney
Disney,
Plus.
yeah. Yeah, and it was like 30 some dollars just to rent it and to
Yeah.
watch it at your own house. And I remember seeing this feed because I belong to these Asian filmmaking groups, and they're all like, "What? It's 30 some dollars, and we're not even in the theater."
Well, I did want to ask as well because kind of the process of MILFriend, because it was a short before it was a TV series, and a lot of times you see a lot of directors, writers, create a short and then a series or movie gets picked up. Did you already know that it was going to get picked up, or were you just kind of
Well,
was it passion
I
for
mean, right now, a short and also a web series. It hasn't technically gotten picked up by a network, so we're just letting it out right now at this moment because we just felt like we needed to get it out by election
it? Mhm.
because the election is happening in a couple weeks because it's a somewhat political piece. So we wanted to get it out, and we had a platform that we were supposed to release it, which was on Elizabeth Banks' platform, which is very female-centric comedy kind of a platform. But they had delays because of the whole COVID and whatever else reasons that they had. So we're like, no, we need to get this out before the election. So we pulled it. We're just I mean, because we've been working on it for a long time. I mean, I wrote this thing years ago, and I'm just at a point where I'm just like, it feels good just to get it out. I just want to get it out. It's really kind of, I don't know how other people do it and how other artists do it, but like holding on to something that you've already shot and it's in the can, it's really hard. I don't know, you know?
Yeah, you mentioned that it's kind of been years in the making. How does that process work? Because I do have some fans that kind of are aspiring screenwriters, and not all of them have taken any formal training, but they have a lot of ideas, and just kind of and even the actors that I've interviewed, have really good concepts, but
Mhm.
they say one of the biggest challenges is the discipline to stay focused. Um, was that a challenge for you?
Well, it's not. I don't know if it's so much the discipline to stay focused. I guess it depends on which part you're talking about. On the writing part, yeah, for sure. Because to write, you're by yourself. It's solitary. You have to be disciplined to be able to write it, and then it's all many drafts that you have to rewrite. So definitely that part you need to have discipline and be focused on that. But it depends on what area of production you're talking about. Once it's in pre-production and you're casting and looking at locations and all that other stuff, that's different kind of a discipline, right? And it's also you can't do it by yourself. Filmmaking is like raising a kid. You need a whole village, so you need to have some kind of support behind you. It's nice to have studio money because then you could pay everybody and make sure that they're going to be there, and you have everything covered with insurance and because there's a lot of stuff that goes into production. And then once you're during production, that's a whole nother thing because every step of filmmaking is needs different parts of you. It's not the same part every time. um, and then I guess production is more like just putting out fires and knowing how to handle um, pretty much people, because it's not just your cast and crew you're going to be dealing with, but if you're on set or on location, you have to also deal with the whole neighborhood, the people that own the house wherever you're shooting, or the office building, the parking, I mean makeup. I mean it's just a lot of I guess learning how to deal with people for the production part. And then post production ends up becoming all small again, where it's just you and just a couple technicians that are sound editors and editors and special effects if you have stuff like that. So it's just trying to keep that on track, which is a whole nother ball game because you're kind of bound to their time, especially if you're not a big studio that's going to be throwing money at them to get it out by a certain time, and you're like second or third on their list. Then it's just trying to keep it on track and having to finish that. I actually ended up editing MILFriend myself because our first choice editor, was busy for months, and I was like, well, let me just start editing and see how this goes. And then before I knew it, I edited the whole thing. So
Was this your first time editing, or have you edited? I think you've edited a few roles, I think, right?
well, I mean, I went to film school. I did all that. So I edited on those 8mm on a bed where you splice with actual scissors. I think actually that's easier than working with all these computer stuff. Because once you make the cut, that's it. You can't go back, But all right, there's my son. He needs to always put his 2 cents in.
You got to
But
sign
with
the
oh, sorry. So, but now with all the technology, with doing everything on the computer, it's great that you have all these choices, but that's also a curse, because then now like you 100 different options, and you can really go crazy doing that.
Yeah. I know you mentioned that MILFriend deals a little bit with, or potentially a good amount, with politics. Do you mind giving just a short premise of kind of what to expect with MILFriend for the audience?
Well, it's dealing with gentrification. It's about a bunch of crazy moms in gentrifying Venice Beach, where culture, class, and they all kind of jumble together and they clash. And also race, because it's all kind of goes hand in hand with gentrification, because gentrification is basically, to gentrify is to make an area that's usually up and coming, that's usually has a blue collared or regular folks, where gentleman class comes in, elevates it to another level, and they raise housing prices. A cup of coffee is now $8. You know how that goes. That's what gentrification is. So when you're dealing with gentrification, you have to talk about class, because it's the different class system. And when you're talking about class system, it is a system, so there's race comes into it. And but we were trying to make light of it, and just because it is a comedy, so we're making light of it and seeing all the kind of crazy stuff as a mom. That was happening in Venice, because it was also observational.
Yeah.
Where you would see these moms that just literally had a baby, but they're like a stick, they're like 100 pounds, but they have like 3 babies they're juggling. You're like, what is this? This is crazy. I mean, this is insanity. And then I also noticed that where I am, Venice Beach, where this takes place, where I wrote the story about. It's the west side of LA, which is also very different from the east side of LA, because west side is more, I guess, it gets wider and richer. I don't know if that makes any sense. And the more inland you go, it gets more diverse and a little bit more not as expensive. And then I started noticing that a lot of the moms in the west side of LA were old. Like they were in their 40s having babies. They're not, when I was growing up and when I was a kid, women were having babies in their 20s, right? Like 20s, mid 20s. But I'm like, when did this happen, where all the moms now are like 40 something, and you're like, this is kind of a thing. And there was an actual technical term for that. It's called sandwich mom. So this generation of older moms are called sandwich moms because they are sandwiched between like an infant and a parent that's dying. So they have to take care of both the baby and the old person, and they're like kind of crazy, and they're sandwiched in between. So I've just started noticing this phenomenon happening, especially on the west side of LA. So I was like, okay, there's a lot of crazy stuff here that we could, make fun of. So let's do it.
I know you mentioned Elizabeth Banks, streaming station. Have you thought about stations like Netflix or Amazon? It sounds like it'd be a perfect show on Netflix.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open if they come with me with contract. I'm open to negotiate. Yeah, I'm open. And Elizabeth Banks, I mean, and her platform is called Hoo-Ha-Ha. They were very kind enough to give me a shout out and all that stuff, even though they knew that I was going on batching on my own. So they're very supportive of female comedians and comedic writers. So
Awesome.
and content creators.
Yeah, no, I'm excited to see it, and also to yeah, that'd be great. And yeah, Elizabeth Banks, the fact that you got a shout out, from her, and I mean she's huge, and I know she's been doing a lot more directing and writing in recent years as well too. So yeah, no, that's awesome that that it's looks like it's going to potentially go there, and then I'm also excited to see if it gets to stations like Netflix and Amazon, and I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to. I mean, like I said, I'm open for any offers and I'm totally open to it. And the funny thing is, when I started writing this, it was before the whole diversity movement with the whole Black Lives Matter, before Oscar So White hashtag, and before before even this whole Karen thing was a real problem, or whatever it was, became a I guess international phenomenon. And then I've noticed that in the last, just ever since COVID, like everything I wrote about is like coming to be in a place where it's okay to make fun of it.
Yeah.
Because I mean, I had this in the can probably about a year now, and when I showed it to people last year, people were a little bit shocked, but now it's like everybody seemed to kind of get it. And I'm like, they just have to catch up.
Yeah.
What was it?
Yeah, it definitely seems like there's more things that are acceptable, and obviously some things where it's still society is still building an appetite for. But we need some things nowadays where that can just make us laugh. You know what I mean? Everyone takes things so seriously, and it's just it's the little things that matter sometimes. So. No, I'm super excited, and I'm looking forward to seeing and also seeing some of your future works as well. And Judy, I want to be respectful of your time. I know.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I really want to see what you have to say about it, because this comedy is more kind of like Family Guy, kind of a raunchy
Love
comedy
Family
like
Guy.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love Family Guy too. It's like kind of like Family Guy meets Absolutely Fabulous, which is a British TV show, meets I Love Lucy kind of deal. And I've noticed that a lot of women's comedy is more gentle and not so raunchy like Family Guy. And this guy, I mean, this show kind of goes more towards I guess the Family Guy kind of a comedy. So I know a lot of men like it. So I hope I would like to hear your thoughts.
Absolutely, I can't wait to see it, and I'll definitely share my feedback, and I'm super excited to see that, and see what else you got coming in the works, in the future. So
yeah, well, the next project, like I said, we're doing right here in Kauai, which is going to be we're building a farm that's off the grid. So it's kind of like a docu, following our family building an off the grid farm. And off the grid meaning like we're off the grid. There's no electricity. There's no, everything is we're like off the grid in the jungle. So it's very interesting.
That's awesome. Yeah, definitely gotta be able to adapt, and I'm sure there's going to be some exciting stories that are going to take off from that as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely, because I don't know anything about jungle and being a city girl. I mean, I'm learning a lot.
Different.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Judy, thank you so much for joining. Again, I can't say how honored I am to have you on, and looking forward to seeing your show MILFriend, and just excited to see what else is in the works. And I hope we can do this again sometime as well. I'd love to get you on again.
Yeah, thank you so much, and hopefully next time my kid won't be having to make his 2 cents. And then once we're done this Kauai thing, maybe I could come back and you could tell me what you think about that.
Well, I'm happy that he gave his approval, and we'll definitely connect again. I'm really looking forward to it. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Zia. So you guys can find me at yomamarice on Facebook and Instagram, and on YouTube it's www.youtube.com yomamarice does not cook.
Perfect. And I'll go ahead and share those links on the once we all this stuff, so fans will be able to find you and hopefully interact with you as well.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Zia.
Thank you very much. Take care.
You too. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.